This season of Mediumship Matters is proudly sponsored by Spirit Social, the spiritual community app I created to give seekers like you a home away from the noise of mainstream social media. Inside, you'll find daily card readings, live spiritual events, uplifting conversations, and a kind, supportive community, all for just £2.99 a month. Search Spirit Social in your app store today and join us. Hello and welcome to Mediumship Matters with me, Hannah Macintyre. And today I am joined with a very special guest who is our last interview of season 7, psychic medium Glenda Marie. Hi, Glenda. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Hannah. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. You kept the best till last.
I did, didn't I? I'm excited to
You
have you
did.
too. You're looking so lovely and glamorous, obviously because you're based in Oz and I'm in the UK. So for me, it's 8 a.m. and my coffee's just kicking in. And for you, it's 6 p.m. and you look really glamorous and like you're out for a night on the town.
Yay! Yeah, I am, and I've got my tan because I'm back from Bali. So,
Oh, of
yes, loving it.
course. Yeah, I wasn't jealous at all about that content coming up on my social media while I sat at home in cold and wet and dreary England. So I'm glad you had a lovely time.
I did, thank you.
For people meeting you for the first time, how would you describe what you do?
Um, oh my gosh, it's a mixture of everything. I think that I'm not the typical psychic medium, I think. I really am grounded in my approach with my clients. I keep them laughing, I keep them accountable, I am gentle, I am, compassionate. I'm a bit of a joker. I love to laugh. And I just feel that everybody needs to be reminded that life is beautiful and that we're here to have a good time, even though we're going through hard times. So I think I just always just keep it light and fresh as much as I can. Even with my healings, they can be quite deep, but I just mix it up. So yeah, I
I
don't even know
love it.
how to describe it. Yeah.
So you work as a healer, you work as a medium, you do what type of mediumship readings do you do?
So it is, I I do the normal type of readings, just like everybody else. So, it's about um, evidential. I don't dive into trance or anything like that. I do more of that through my healings because I
Hmm.
involve the hypnotherapy and things like that. So it's more about being an ethical medium, or if you can say an evidential medium. So it's proving that there is life after we don't walk the physical anymore. And yeah, it's about reminding people that our loved ones are still beside them every day, or most of the
Yeah,
time that we hope.
absolutely, absolutely. So how did this all start for you? How did you get involved in this way of life?
How do I get involved? I'm not going to go there and do that. Oh, it's in my bloodline. It's in my, because sometimes that can be just a little bit like well, it's not in mine. And am I not good enough? Like, I don't feel that at all. Um, to say it's in my bloodline, my mama was psychic, my uncle was psychic. Like I'm from Bosnia, so we were from the actual Balkan gypsies. Like everyone in my family is psychic, or they're very, very intuitive. And I remember, as a little child, it'd be go off and make the coffee. So, and it's special, like Turkish type of coffee. So I would be off. I've got someone coming to the house. Go on, it'd be like, go make the coffee, and have to be the right consistency because the old girl, I call mama the old girl, should be like reading the coffee and doing the psychic readings for them, and like, don't burn it, don't do this. And I was like, oh my gosh, and I'd be sitting there just listening, to what's happening, or her giving psychic readings to people to come to the house, and it'd be previous to that, I did have a maternal mum that didn't last for very, very long, but my maternal mum was into healings and Reiki and all that sort of stuff. And if it wasn't that, it was like off to someone and I'm watching her get tarot card readings and, all that back in the 70s and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, I've had it all through my life. I've got a set of tarot cards that have been handed down so many generations. They're so old and they're just, the energy on them is so beautiful that whenever I feel like I need an answer, I throw them. And I just think, they're going to be the spot on ones. So I'm not saying none of them are spot on, but I always just feel like, the ancestors are with me with those because they've gone
Mm.
through those hands and that sort of thing. So to say that I've grown up with it, I have. To say I've seen witchy spells being done and all these things that we had to follow, and there was no Panadol, there was no ibuprofen and all that. It was all natural herbal remedies that I was grown with, that
Yeah.
was used. If I had a temperature, well, that would be a tea towel wrapped with garlic in it, with vinegar in it, and some potatoes wrapped around my feet all night. The house would be stinking, but guess what? The temperature was gone the next day. Like, I was raised with that. So when my friend says, do you want to come for a sleepover? Do you want to come to our house? I'll be like, oh, something normal. Something normal. So how did I think that I was going to come out of this and not do it? I don't know. I did block it for a long time, Hannah. I wanted to be that rebel. I had to go and do things against everything that everyone told me. I had to learn the hard way. I blocked it, even though I knew every time that boyfriend was cheating on me, that relationship wasn't going to work out, that workplace was toxic. I knew all of that stuff, but you're just kind of like, I don't want to know. It's
Yeah.
going to get better. I'm going to block it. And it just kept happening and happening. Did I see spirit when I was younger? Yes. But it seems to change. And as you get older, the
Yeah.
mediumship changes, it evolves. And now it's like, it seems harder than when it was when you were younger. But is it more that we were so innocent and we surrendered to it because we didn't know anything different, that it seemed so much easier?
Mhm.
Do you know
No
what I mean?
expectations, no
There's
resistance, no
no,
doubt.
no,
Yeah.
and there was no like, you have to produce, bring someone through. There was none of that stuff because it was just naturally just happening. But now we put that pressure on us. It's like, oh, I hope it works.
Yeah,
Of
for
course it's
sure.
going to work. It's always there.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
you grew up in this crazy but amazing environment where you were exposed to so much of this stuff naturally. And I always say, I think that, we're all born with mediumship abilities. It's like a door, it's just the door gets closed for some people. Whereas yours, obviously, no one was saying to you, don't be silly, you can't see that. Don't be silly, you don't know that. So you had that part, but you chose to do it for yourself, which is even more interesting.
actually, not the mediumship. That was a no-no. The
Wow.
psychic, absolutely. So the mediumship was a no-no. And to entwine all of this, I was also raised Muslim and Catholic entwined. Absolutely. Yeah. So you imagine those religious beliefs entwined with that. So it was like, no, talking to the dead is a sin. You need to leave the dead alone. So then when I was saying those sort of things, I was shut down for the mediumship.
Oh, so you were. Oh, I love it.
I
This is
was.
so,
I
I love looking at
was.
soul choices. I know what I'll pick for myself. Like, I know I need a bit of Muslim, bit of Catholic, this heritage from Bosnia, reading the coffee grounds, tarot cards, but none of that stuff. Where did your mum think the information that the cards were bringing through was coming from? Just,
Oh, because it was just natural, but she didn't need any tools. She was
yeah,
one of those natural
yeah.
psychics that just knew stuff. She was one of those, and if I said, I don't know if anyone's ever listened to my podcast, she was one of those people that someone would come to their door. no boundaries, no ethics of what you can and can't say. She would say, your husband's cheating on you. Let's get in the car. She'd get in the car with her girlfriend. She'd drive her to the building and go, he's up there on level 7 with his mistress. Sure enough, he was. She was that good. And she was one of those that believed that you shouldn't charge.
Ah, which might, oh no, let's not open that can of worms. That's
So,
fascinating.
so you can imagine my challenge when it came to me opening up, doing this, having the mentor of psychic behind me and going backwards and forwards like this. Yes, I had the best psychic mentor within myself. But then when I started getting mediumship, because again, I always believe that your psychic has to be really good for the mediumship to really evolve. Like you have to know how to use your clairs, all of that sort of
Yes.
stuff. So then when this was evolving and I'm saying to her, oh, I'm seeing spirit, I'm seeing, she's like, shut it down, Glenda. We're not supposed to go there. And I'm like, but I can't help it. Do you know when it was that she accepted it, Hannah?
When?
When I gave her a message from her brother. So when I told her what had happened on the day, like because I see death for my family. So I get the heads up that someone's going to pass. Spirit gives it to me because I live so far away from my family. It gives me time to get back there and it gives me time to be with them. So I don't know, Spirit have been really good with me with that. So I came home and I said, I've got to come home. She said, why? I said, oh, someone's going to pass. And she said, I have a bad feeling too. I was on the plane the next day. Takes me 2 planes to get home. And she said, I've not heard from your uncle. And I said, oh no, he's got something wrong with his phone. And he lives in Germany. So then she's like, can you find out? So I contacted his neighbor. I said, what's going on? We can't get any hold of him. Is there anything going on? She's like, no, his phone line's down. And I'm like, see, I told you. That night he passed away. He had a burst, like he had an aneurysm and passed away like that. It was
Wow.
like we both felt it. We both knew something was going to happen, and it happened. So then we have celebrations for 40 days afterwards, and then we celebrate the 1 year on the passing. And then on the 1 year on the passing, I gave her a message from him, right down to because I couldn't be there. They have we have a big massive feast for the person that has passed for their soul, and right down to he's really grateful you made the red jelly in the fridge for the kids. And she's like, how did you know I made jelly? And I said, because he's telling me. And I said, and you've got a cactus plant that's right outside your bedroom window and it doesn't flower and it flowers once a year and the flower has just come out. She's like, how do you know that? I'm like, because he's telling me. But I sat and he showed me the other family members. They all stepped forward that day, like for me. I just sat and just was really in depth with spirit. And I got to meet them, Hannah. It was amazing. And so I went back to her and I said, I met your father and I met your mother, like grandma, and I met your sister. And she said that she passed from this, but she's like, how do you know all this? And it was all like validated, everything that I was saying. She's like, how are you getting all this? And I just said, I told you, I speak to the dead. And she's like, you have to do this. You've got to, I know that you were born like this. You have to share it with other people. And I went, see? And she goes, it's helped me so much. You have to do this for other people. And that's when she surrendered to it. And I just went, oh, the weight's lifted off my shoulders. But I do remember when I said to Spirit, I think I'm ready. And then I heard, but are you? Spirit were questioning me. And I was sitting outside. It was like a full moon. I just sit outside a lot with the stars and have conversation with Spirit. And I said, I think I'm ready to go on this journey. And I heard, but are you? And I'm like, but am I ready? And then it scared me.
Yeah.
And then I stopped. And then I stopped. And I didn't, and then I cut it for like a month or two. And then it came back, and I said, no, I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready. And that's when it all just came like boom, massively. And that's when it's like, I'm getting the fucking names that I don't fucking get now. Like, I'm getting all the carrots, everything that I like, everything spirits for me. And then it just went dried up. So now you're going to have to prove to me or prove to us how much you want this. That's how it felt for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I had no one to talk to and about this, about mediumship, about I can get all the psychic advice from home, but no one about mediumship. I've got no friends that do mediumship. I had no one. So what do I do? Well, I'm looking at John Edwards and he's saying this and saying this and saying that. And I'm like, I'm doing all of that. He makes me feel normal. I'm watching all this online stuff with other mediums demonstrating. I'm like, I'm getting all of that. Well, I must be doing it right. So, then it progressed to, I think I need to get some development and I need to get some help to help steer me through this. But just even a mentor to be able to go, is this normal? Is it normal to feel like this? Because I feel like I'm going insane.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
you get that
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. So, where did you go for mentorship? Like, how did that development path look for
The
you when you
UK.
decided?
Well, actually, I first started in the US. I started, I'm like, okay, well, who do I go with? I just want to sign. And I had actually Michael Mayo I started with Michael and did some development with Michael. And he was like, yes, Glenda. He always used to say to me, you're my little psychic friend. You always loved the psychism with me and things like that, and did a bit of work with him, then went away and he's like, okay, I've done what I can. It's time for you to go and spread your wings. I think every decent mentor needs to do that and go, now go practice, develop, spread your wings. And I went off and did some more work and then that kind of opened up to, I think I need some more. I think I need some more. I felt like I was stepping up or leveling up and I needed more. And I didn't even know how. I always asked Spirit to show me. And I started working with Dominic Bogue in the UK. So I once a week I would get online and me and Dominic would do um, our session, and I would be like, is this normal? Is this that? Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, yes, yes, yes. And he was so down to earth and so like, you know, just like me. He's like, I could swear, I could be myself. He was just so easygoing. He allowed me to just unfold naturally and just organically. And just, I said, this is how I do it. And he was like, yeah, that's correct. That's how you want to do it. He wasn't about the way to do it like the SNU and all that. There was so much structure there. And he was just like, just unfold naturally. This is what I want for you. And then it came to that point where he's like, he goes, I just feel like we've made our cake, and if I add any more sugar to this cake, it's going to ruin it. That means it's time for you to go and just develop. And I was like, okay. And then that came to, I think I want to do platform work. Well, there's no one here in Australia that can train me platform work. Well, off Glenda goes to the fucking UK right after my mum just died. Was it 3 months, 6 months? I can't even remember. 6 months. 6 months after she passed away, I was on a plane and off to the UK. In the deepest of my grief, I had booked this flight when she was still alive, and I
Wow.
had to get on that plane. And oh my God, was I nervous about my dream. When you first begin, and I know a lot of mediums all across the world, everyone wants to go to Hogwarts. They want to go to AFC. They want to experience it. They want the energy because everyone talks about how fab it is over there. And, I was so nervous. Am I even going to be good enough? Because at that stage, Michael's going, I'm coming. And then it was like, whoa, you're freaking amazing. I'm nowhere near as good as you. And oh my God, and I'm going to be there with all these famous Instagram, TikTok mediums. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just like, am I even good enough? And I remember crying the night before my flight to my husband going, I am so nervous. He's like, what are you nervous about? You'll be fine. You're so good. You know, he's my husband saying, you'll be fine, as I'm getting on a trip across the frigging world by myself. And I thought, what am I going to do? Am I good enough? He's like, you'll be fine. And I got there and I was fine. I was shocked. I was absolutely freaking blown away. And I wanted to be in the class with Michael and you know, Courtney, and everyone was in that class, but I got shifted to a different class. But you know what? I am so freaking grateful that I was, because I had Chris Drew, which is freaking, I thought he was amazing. And he pushed me so freaking much, because I said to him, I want to get on platform. I've got a dem, my very first dem this Saturday. I've never got on platform before,
Yeah.
ever. And I sat there and it was like, I think it was like the second day. Would anyone like to come up the front and demonstrate? And I was just sitting there looking around and I just felt this go like this. I kept putting my hand up every goddamn day, Hannah, to get up on stage. And then I was like, you know what? I've paid a shit ton of money to come across the world to push myself. And if we're also called mediums and supportive of each other, and this is supposed to be a supportive community, well, I've got nothing to worry about. You're all supposed to support me, not bitch about me. So I'm like, well, fuck it. I'm getting up every day. And I kept doing it every day in class, in my DEMS, all of that. And I got up on stage. He said to me, don't worry, you'll be prepared. And at the end of the week, I was on stage with Bill Hughes, David, my bloody my girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever you want to call him, my spiritual brother. I was on stage with them. We were doing a live dem together. I can't even remember. I think it was like 70 people. I had full blown COVID. I was so sick, Hannah. I didn't know I had COVID, never had COVID in my life. Got it at the AFC. I had to get up on stage. I was like popping every freaking pill that you can think of, every cold and flu. I think I was high off the freaking cold and flu, that I had no time to be nervous
Yeah.
to get up on stage. And I did it. I did it. And it was like, oh my freaking God, I did it. Spirit showed up. And the boys were fab. It was so good to like be with them, spend time with them, do dem together, you know, get to know each other in the real life. And
Yeah.
I had so much fun. And it was like, holy shit, I just leveled up again. So there you go. All in a nutshell.
Amazing. I love it. I love it. Now, obviously, you mentioned here about losing your mum and having to make that journey without your mum's energy and all of that and going through your grief. Can you talk to us a little bit about grief as a medium? Because I know when my grandmother passed, everybody was like, well, you can't be sad because she's around. And I was like, I bloody well can be. So,
Bullshit.
like, how was that for you? How did that impact your mediumship? Did it change it?
Right. So it was so freaking hard. She was my closest friend, my ally, my everything. And I no longer had anyone to talk to every day. And I just missed her so freaking much. But before she passed, she couldn't talk. And we were talking, we were communicating, you know, I've got the word telepathy. It was like she was telling me, right? Because I knew she was going to pass that night and I wanted to be there holding her hand when she took her last breath. And Papa didn't want to be there. And I said, she's going tonight. And he said, I know, but I don't want to see her take her last breath. And we're both crying, right? So you imagine me, I'm torn between two people. Do I now stay with her or be with him? Because he doesn't want to be there when she takes her last breath. And I knew she was going to. I had all the freaking signs that day. And I looked down at her. And she was just laying there. She was not conscious. And she said to me, I want you to be with him. I'll be okay. So I took him home and she passed. I knew. But do you know what? 5 days, spirit comes at least 5 days before. It came 5 days before her because I felt them come in the room like you would not freaking believe. Holy shit. I felt them come from behind, and it felt like a gust of wind come in. And I literally, the door was shut and the screen was pulled across. I turned around like this because I thought someone was behind me. They were there. And all I heard was, you pair don't listen to a word anybody says, because they said to me, do not give her anything to drink. In my mind, she's going, I want some of your tea. Well, fuck. No nurse is going to tell me what to do. I got that little measuring cup and I poured my cup of tea in there, and I was like putting it in her mouth, and she's swallowing it, syringing tea in her mouth. Well, my uncle and my grandparents, they're all standing there going, you don't listen. We didn't, I could hear them talking, right? So they were there. And then, right, my papa just passed in June. She came 5 days before she took him. And he said, Mama's here. And I said, yeah, and I'm waiting because I knew she wasn't ready to come to take him. And I said, what did she say? He goes, well, I was calling her, and I was putting my arms out, calling her, but she just stood back. And I said, yeah, well, she's not ready to take you yet. She's not ready. I said, you'll know, and you can tell me also. But that night I sat with him. I was on the left side of his bed, and I could visually see her on the other side of the bed. She was there, and I said, you're here to take him tonight. And she said, I am. And she could see I was so exhausted. I'd been there nonstop. And I said, I'm going to stay here till midnight, and then I'm going to go home. And she said, I'll be here. And he passed. So I knew he would be all right. I knew that they were together. She'd come for him. Did it make it any harder, any easier, that knowing that? No. Oh my God. Do you know, while I was watching her pass, I cannot describe it any more than it was a battle of the worlds. To me, it felt like it was the battle of a spiritual world and this world to me, because as much as I know that they're okay in this hand, in this hand, my heart is broken. And I just was so devastated. And you feel it so much, just like everybody else. And and in those moments, you just want to know that they're all right, and you get the signs, you do. But sometimes when you're looking so deeply, because you're in your grief, you're not going to see them. And that's even for anybody that doesn't do mediumship. When you're in your thickest of grief, you are not going to see the signs that they send you. And that's hard. And that's when it's kind of like, do I want to do this anymore? Do I want to do this anymore? I took 2 weeks off, and she came to me and said, get back to work. People need you. 2 freaking weeks, and I was back reading, and I felt my connection was stronger. It took a little bit to adjust, because I felt like everyone says your loved ones aren't your guides. Do you know what? She is right beside me. She is part of my spirit team. Every freaking day she helps me. And I always am so grateful for this, because it took a bit. I noticed with my readings, it was a bit of a shift. And it was her adjusting with me and how we worked now. But once that shift settled, it was like, again, I felt like when I lost my uncle, it leveled up. And then when I lost her, it leveled up again. It's really weird. I cannot describe it. But in that, I lost my mama. I lost my 15-year-old dog last year. And then I lost my papa. So I've had 3 years of consistent grief. And it's bloody tough. And you have your days where you just don't want to fucking see anyone, and you don't want to see the world, and you just want to stay in bed and cry. And that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
But then there are days where I get to do this job, like today, and bring through today's beautiful lady, her aunt, which was her mama as well, and her dog. Like I do a lot of animal communication as well.
Yeah.
So it's like that reminds me of why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I know what that feels like. And I feel there's been so much negative stuff going on within the spiritual community that I said in my last podcast, we all need some type of reminder what it feels like to lose someone, because then we'd be pulling our heads in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're talking about your podcast. Let's talk about your podcast. Tell everyone what your podcast is. And it's a very good podcast. It's had some fantastic guests.
Absolutely, it has. Yes, we have Spirit Lounge podcast. David H. Spiritualist Medium and I, like I said, we met on SPTV when we were doing online readings, and then we dem together and we remained friends. I mean, David and our fairy godfather Bill Hughes, the three of us, we're very close friends. You know, we message each other every day, every morning, all that sort of stuff. So we continue to work and grow together. And, you know, when we fall down, Bill Hughes picks us up like he always does and gives us his fatherly advice, even though we're the freaking same age. But it's like he's just, you know, he's our fairy godfather. You know, he just knows everything, and he just knows the right words, and he's just got so much compassion and love for everyone. And I just am so grateful that I think Spirit aligned me with them. I mean,
Mhm.
of all the people that picked me out to come on Collective Consciousness on his show, it was Bill Hughes. He gave me that start. He opened the door, just like with David. And now David and I, and we just kind of continue it on. And, you know, it's like, it's fun. We just have so much fun because we get on so well.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
know what it's like. You've been on there and had laughs with
Yeah,
us.
exactly. And your vibe with each other is always great and fun and really lovely to see. So Dominic Bogue says to you, your cake is done. We're not going to fiddle with it because then we'll ruin it. What was it like doing those first initial readings? You know, because it's very different, isn't it, when you step up and go, right, I'm doing it now. I'm a pro. I'm doing it as a business. I'm doing it. What was that like for you?
Thing for me, because I was already reading, right? I was reading, but it was like leveling up. But at that point, he kept saying to me, "You're not taking your business seriously. You're not looking at it as a business." And then right at the end, he's like, "See, you're looking at it as business now." And that's what's hard. That's where it shifted. That's where the mindset shifted, because for so long, you're bending over backwards helping people. You're like, you know, there's no boundaries. And then, you know, people are shitting on you when they're just, you know, booking here and there. And then it's like, no, you start looking at it as business, and everything shifts. Yeah, and you just kind of you take that big step up, and that's where he helped me take that step up, and um to have faith in myself as well, you know, that trust, believe in myself, because oh my God, you go backwards and forwards with that trust thing with yourself. I always go, I trust spirit, but I don't trust myself. But now I'm like, no, I freaking do trust myself. I have been called out too much because I'm so right. So
Good
yeah.
for you. I love it. And what about reconciling? Obviously, if your mum did all this work for free, like how that must have given you some serious money blocks, for want of a better expression, or guilt or feelings about that. Like, how did you reconcile that?
No, I've never had money blocks. I've always had money coming in. It's really freaking amazing. Like, she had the blocks. I didn't. And that's why I'm like, no, no. I said, I'm charging for my worth. I remember when I first started, I didn't know what to charge or where to begin. And I'd do $50 for 2 goddamn hours until I drained myself and I was in bed. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? It's because I had no boundaries.
Yeah.
And then there was no equal exchange of energy. And that's what I learned the hard way of all of it, all the business practices, all of that sort of stuff. And that's when it's like, $50. I'm like, she's like, oh, that's a lot of money. And I'm like, 2 hours of my time and I'm drained and I can't get out of bed. I said, that's not worth $50. I'd rather not do it. Well, it took me a while and I slowly stepped up and stepped up and stepped up, you know, just valuing myself. And now I value myself, and I'm just like, even now I think I need to put my price up. But I also want to be affordable for people um, that want a reading. Okay, I'm trying
Yes.
to be that medium in the middle. You know that you know
Yes.
I because mediums charge ridiculous amounts. Like, so I've seen some charge $600 or something like that. Like, are you kidding yourself? Like $600? gee, you have to be bloody, I would think you'd have to be friggin' amazing to be charging that sort of price, but
Yeah.
it's not affordable. It's not.
And
So
it
as
does
I
make no
say,
difference to the actual mediumship. That's the irony.
it's like, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's
So,
ridiculous.
yeah,
So
totally get it.
I've learnt the hard way. So I had no money blocks, and I've just always kind of, I've gone up in the scale with time, with the way I feel, and it has to sit with me. I think your pricing has to sit with you and nobody else. You cannot compare yourself to anybody else on this world. It has to sit with you. So, hmm.
Yeah, I love that. So, what piece of advice would you give people at the beginning of their journey who are just learning to connect to spirit? What advice would you give them?
Don't do it alone. Oh my God. But do this journey alone. It is so hard. I did it for so long, and that's why it was just so hard for me to learn all these things. But I think because of that, I understand where people are at, and I understand how hard it is, and to be empathic with people and compassionate with people. But I would say find a good development circle or develop with someone where you're going to be propped up, where you're going to be nurtured, where you're going to be held accountable as
Mhm.
well to step up, to push yourself out there. Because as long as you're doing this alone, you are only going to do it at your level, and you are so much more capable of so much that you don't even know how much you are capable of. We as humans, we just think that we we can only give so much. But in reality, we are so much more capable. And until someone else comes along and gives you those little nudges and rubs your shoulder and says, you're doing a great job, and then gives you those little nudges and pushes you a little bit further, it's like, you need to be nurtured, you need to be pampered, and you also need to be pushed. You're not
Yes.
going to do that alone. You are not going to do that alone. So find someone that you resonate with. Even if you find them online, watch them. Look at their reviews. Look at what people are saying about them. How do you feel their energy fits with yours? Because sometimes it doesn't fit with yours. Sometimes they can be too much at once. Just if you're at the stage, you should be able to read energy. Read the person's energy. Are they compassionate? Are they good? Are they someone that is going to nurture you? And you know what? If you get it wrong, you can always leave.
Yeah,
But you should be at that point. If you're getting to there, you should be at that point to go, her energy is good or his energy is good. I think I'm going to book with them. Number one, book a reading with them first before you
yes,
do any work.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're nearly at the end. I have so many questions I didn't get around to asking you, but I would always like to finish with a quick fire round, which I know you guys do as well on Spirit Lounge.
Yes.
So are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee. I was not surprised with what you told me there. Morning or night readings?
Morning.
Morning. Crystals or candles?
Candles.
Candles. Favorite archangel or spirit guide energy? Oh, it's probably going to be your mum, but to work with, you better say your mum.
My mum, but I also have actually my mum, but I also have Dr. John. I have a Dr. John. He is my healer that works with me, and he is freaking amazing. But
Oh,
yeah,
I
my
love it.
mum.
I
Yes, my
love
mum.
it. Yeah, I know. I was like, why am I even asking this? We're both going to get our butts kicked. So let's just a sign from spirit you see most often.
A kookaburra.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I'm going to have the song in my head all day now. Um,
Mhm.
and talking of songs, what song always raises your vibration?
Oh, it's got to be boppy. It's got to be like anything like, let's get this party started. It's got to be really high vibe, none of this meditation shit. It's got to be like, let's go.
X. Most powerful place you've ever felt a spirit presence?
Would have to say the AFC. I would have to say the AFC, the
Love
energy
it.
there.
If you could ask
Mm.
spirit one question right now, what would you ask them?
And I'm not going to say when I'm going to win $1 million. It's not that at all.
But
I think it would be, gee, you got me here. I get to travel a lot more with my work, but I feel like I will. I already
yeah, I
feel
feel like
like
you
I
will
will.
too. I feel
I
like you
think I
will.
will.
You've got connections everywhere. Um, what's one myth you want to bust about mediumship or spirituality?
Okay, so with mediumship, it's very subtle. Even with healings, it's very subtle. The it's the people that get on TikTok that are doing all this dramatizing and showmanship is all fake, and it does my head in. As if you know my podcast, you would say Glenda likes to swear about it, and I do, but it gets on my goat. It gets on my goat, that stuff, because there's no need for all the showmanship. It's so subtle that if you blinked or you'd miss it. Um, Spirituality, just be kind, just be a good person, just come from a place of love.
Absolutely. So, what is
That's it.
next for you that you know is coming?
I feel like I'm going to be doing more of my own way of, I like to do everything my way. My own way of my healings are taking off in the way that I'm entwining all of this together. I'm doing more group work, and I do like a moment with spirit where I do my sound healing as well as give messages from loved ones. So I kind of, because we don't have spiritual churches like you
Yeah.
guys, we have one that I wouldn't even go to. But it's more about just creating more of a space where people can come and just be supported, and that is genuine, and just more of a heart-centered place. That more about,
Yeah.
yeah, bringing people together, but in my own way, weaving my own magic through it all.
I love it. I love it. Now, I'll put your website in the show notes, but can you just tell everybody where they can find you?
Oh my goodness. So I'm on, I don't bother with TikTok. I did open an account, but I haven't bothered anymore. But I am on Instagram, which is Glenda Marie Psychic Medium, and also on Facebook. So yeah, just the two I really focus on.
Lovely.
And
Thank
Spirit
you.
Lounge podcast.
Yes, Spirit
One
Lounge.
day we'll get up there with Hannah.
Yes, that you see, travel. It was so lovely to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Hannah. It was awesome.